Hello BookTube, it's Louise from the Big Head Bookworm. How are you doing? It's lovely to see you. Thank you for popping by. Are you having a good day? Is it a long day or is it just flashing past for you? Are you enjoying each moment? Are you here just to have a little break? I can do that and then I find myself half an hour watching BookTube and then I'm like, I must stop watching BookTube. But don't stop watching at the moment because I'm here with the first 6 books that I've read this month. It's what's the date today? 17th of March, and I've read 6 books so far. So I thought, go and talk to BookTube about your books, Louise. So here I am. The first book I read this month is called The Book by Alan Watts, on the taboo against knowing who you are. Alan Watts was central in introducing Eastern philosophical and religious thought to Western readers. He's a Buddhist and moved to California in 1951, where he became a counterculture icon and one of the best known writers of the 60s and 70s in America. So it's esoterica and metaphysical spiritual writing from a Buddhist viewpoint. Yes, it is definitely has flavour of Buddhism, but it didn't feel like it was about Buddhism, if you get my drift. It was really good. I've had this book for about 3 years. My husband bought it for me because he thought I would be interested in it, because I read a lot of spiritual, metaphysical and esoterica. And obviously he knows me very well. And I suddenly woke up one day and thought, do you know, I really must read the book. I must read the book. So I came downstairs and I read the book and it was great. I read it. It's 160 pages long. It's nice big text. I really enjoyed it. It's not for everybody, but if you're interested in spiritual thought and if you're interested in Eckhart Tolle and New Earth and The Point of Now, Gary Zukav, any of those, Marianne Williamson, any of those, you would find this fascinating. It talks about the separation of the ego from the spiritual soul and our connection to the universe. Or disconnection to the universe, and how that we do feel separate when perhaps we're not. It's brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. Completely recommend that if you're interested in that kind of thing, that you would enjoy it. Really good reading. So because of that, it's published by Souvenir Press under this thing called Independent Voices, which you can't see very well there, but it is, believe me. So I had a look on their website, and that's where I found A Meditator's Diary by Jane Hamilton Merritt. And have I got that in shot? Yes, I have. So this is, having just read a book about Buddhism that had a Buddhism flavour, I wanted to look at something a bit different. And this is actually, I'm not sure she was a Buddhist before she went to Thailand, but she obviously worked in Thailand and Vietnam and Lagos as a reporter and journalist. And so had a lot of, but wanted to kind of look into meditation. She knew the culture, she knew everything about it. And of course, Buddhism is so part of the culture. Steeped in the cultures come out of Buddhism. They are interdependent. You can't separate the two. And she wanted to learn more about it. So she decided to do it through the meditation. She goes to 2 Thai monasteries. The first time she goes as a day visitor, studying under the head monk. And in the second one, she goes to northern Thailand and she actually goes and stays in there and learns the meditation, and it's phenomenal. Really, really easy, really quick thing, but really, again, really fascinating. A fabulous insight. I flew through it and really enjoyed it. I found it really enlightening and thought-provoking. So those 2 really good thought-provoking books. So I carried on, and I don't know why, but I picked up this, which I had on my Kindle, which you are not going to be able to see. No, you can't see it. It's Dying to Be Me by Anita Morjani. My Journey from Cancer to Near Death to True Healing. And it is about her near-death experience. She was experiencing organ failure after 4 years of having leukemia or lymphoma, I think. And yeah, so she was actually in the hospital in a coma, organ failure, and she came back and she was discharged, healed after 2 months. It's a most phenomenal story. And if you read a lot about esoterica and you read about kind of Hay House exactly as the publisher and that kind of stuff, you hear about these kind of books. And I picked it up really cheaply one time on a deal. I never got to read it, and I thought, oh, I'll read it. And I've read about near-death experiences before, but again, it was talking about the separation of ego from the spiritual, the soul, and about disconnection of the ego from the spiritual self, and our sense of separateness, or our understanding of interconnectedness from the universe. So it was quite interesting reading the book and then reading that, coming from two different standpoints, and yet it was exactly the same message. So that was brilliant. So I really enjoyed that. So those are the first 3 non-fiction books I read. The next one I read was I Call Myself a Feminist, The View from 25 Women Under 30. This is the first book from the Goodreads book club called The Feminist Orchestra. Started by Jean's Bookish Thoughts. That's her YouTube handle. Her name's Jean. I don't know her surname. I'm sorry. And this is it's not essays. They are very short. It's quotes. It's inspirational moments. It's poems, and she talks about it being testimonials. Jean actually talked about it in her wrap up and said actually it's more about testimonials about this. I'm not under 30. I've been a feminist a long time, and I do call myself a feminist, and I've been a feminist for a long time, and I found I flew through it and it was fine, but it left me wanting something a bit deeper. Perhaps this is a very good introduction. Perhaps if you've got teenage daughters, or teenage women that are teenage girls that are perhaps dipping their toe into the water, and am I a feminist? What is this scary thing that people, men and boys say don't be? And, oh, what does that mean? Are you strident, or any of those kind of stuff? And perhaps it is something that you could give somebody who's in there. They would find it more interesting. But I think if you've read a lot of feminist texts and you consider yourself a feminist, it might be too light. It's also quite expensive because this is $13.99, and frankly, I thunked to myself. So that was a bit of a disappointing one. Novel-wise, I listened on audiobook to Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This was my last audiobook. I've listened to them in a very funny order. Prisoner of Azkaban, Up, and then Philosopher's Stone last month, and then I've just listened to Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and now I've done them all. Oh, boo. I just thought it was fab. Don't like the car bit, I must admit. Not keen on the car bit. But the rest of it, oh, so good. So good. Still 5 out of 5. Still the best. And then, I think this is the reason why I had a bit of a non-fiction jag, as they say, is because I read The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 1 of the Mistborn trilogy. It's quite large. It's not that large actually, and the text is not that small. So, and it reads, it's a fantasy book, but it reads like a thriller. However, I did find myself 200 pages, I would pick up another book. And then 200 pages, I'd pick up another book, and then I kind of did the final bit. And I have since bought the second book because I thought I really want to carry on with the series. I thought it was brilliant as a fantasy, epic fantasy, high fantasy tale. It has a lot of very familiar tropes, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I really, really can understand why people find this so phenomenal. So it's the Mistborn world. It's got an excellent magic system. I'm not going to go into it because either you're going to be into it or you're not. You're either going to look at that and go, oh, interesting. Let's have a go. Or you're going to go, never in a month of Sundays. But I really enjoyed it. So that was really good. So far, in the first 2 weeks of March, I've had a great reading month. I've read some really interesting non-fiction that's got me thinking. I've read some good fantasy that I could sink back into. And yeah, I'm all very pleased with it. I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks to see what's going to happen, especially as we've got Easter coming up. So it should be a little bit quieter, a little bit more time, not doing the school run and having to do all the school stuff. So yeah, I'm really chuffed. Looking good. What about you? What have you read in March? Anything particular? Would you be interested in Mistborn? Have you read the Mistborn trilogy? I feel like I'm very late to the party. Anyway, I must go. I'm rambling on now. Bye.